Just 6 races remain in ABB FIA Formula E in 2024, and for the first time in 5 years, we hit mainland China. Welcome to the Shanghai International Circuit, and it's time for qualifying for round 11 of the 2024 season. This all-new electric series comes back to China. Hello everybody, welcome to the Shanghai E-Prix here at the Shanghai International Circuit. Formula 1 was only here 2 months ago, and this place has been transformed into an all-electric racing arena, and we are getting set for what's going to be a very interesting session as well. It's going to be absolutely fantastic here as well. 2 groups of qualifying coming up as well, alongside a quarterfinal, a semi-final and a final in terms of duels as well. It's going to be all eyes on what is going to happen. Shanghai is a booming population as well, and after the global pandemic as well, that was COVID-19, it's reopened its doors. Tourism starting to return to normal. Life as we know it is back as well, and Shanghai as well starting to recover. As well, the fans love the fact that motorsport is back in town. It's absolutely amazing to see it's all going so well quickly. Let's take a look then at Group A's qualifying format as well. If we just take that blog off as well that you'll be having later on in the show. So, Group A will see Nick Cassidy going out in the Jaguar TCS Racing, Oliver Rowland in the Nissan Formula E, Mitch Evans in the second Jaguar going out, Max Gunther in the Maserati. Stoffel Van Dorn is going to go out in the DS Penske. Sasha Fenestraz in the Nissan. Norman Nato in the Andretti. Sebastian Buemi back in the Envision. Dan Ticktum in the ERT. Johan Daruvala in the Maserati. And Lucas de Grassi in the Apt Cupra. And of course, Lucas de Grassi, let's not forget, won the very first Formula E race back in 2014 at Beijing in China as well. That was round 1 of the season. Should have been either Nico Prost or Nick Heidfeld, but they came together on the last lap and had a massive accident. So it did get changed over, and Lucas de Grassi ended up taking the victory. So in a few moments, we'll hand over to Nicky Shields for the start of the qualifying procedure as well. Qualifying due underway in about 6.5 minutes' time. It'll be a 12-minute session, Group A. About a 2-minute break, then Group B will go out. 10-minute break, then to the quarterfinals, with 4 sets there, A, B, C, and D. 2 semi-finals, and then a final as well going into it. Should be quite an interesting run out today as well. Also, I'm losing my voice ever so slightly. I damaged it last week during a Formula 2 race at Imola. It's been recovering, but it's still the middle of the night, so it's sort of up in the air how it's feeling, and that's not great with what's going on. So if I pass down to the world feed, which is Tom Brooks and James Rossiter, Billy Monger, you know why. I'm desperately going to be needing in order to go breathe as well. But it looks like they very much are on a limited team over there as well on Formula E. Karun Chandok is over in Indianapolis having a fan experience with his father. There's no Jimenez as JJ, he's not there, thank God. And Nicky Shields is hosting, which is absolutely fantastic for Nicky, alongside James Rossiter and Billy Monger. Tom Brooks is there. We've got Saunders in there as well, and Radzi down as well. So there's a few bits still in the air that need to be decided and to go through, but we're all set then. Ready to go for qualifying here. Let's hand it back over for the start of the session to the one and only Nicky Shields, who's down there giving us all the action. Nicky, down to you.
So we are just a few moments away from the start of qualifying. We're also, of course, reaching the climax of the season. So we sent Radzi and Saunders out to sniff out the stories in the paddock. They collated all of the information and assembled it into everything you need to know about the championship.
We are officially at the business end of the Formula E season, and we've done the hard work so you don't have to.
Oh yes, we've looked at the facts, we've looked at the stats, and there are a handful of drivers fast becoming the favourites for World Championship glory.
Right at the top of the standings is an indisputable, an irrefutable, an incontrovertible 6 drivers, all within
I thought we said 5.
5 drivers,
4 teams,
3 manufacturers,
2 huge races here in Shanghai.
but only 1 world champion at the end of the season.
This is going to be a pivotal weekend of racing.
Who's got the minerals? Who's got the package? Who's going to win?
Time to talk contenders. First up, Nick Cassidy, the prince of the peloton. Is there a driver better suited to the strategy that's needed exactly for weekends like this?
How's he going to handle the pressure, though? It's uncharted territory now that he's the standout favourite, but you can't question his consistency, Saunders.
Well, talking of consistency, Pascal Wehrlein, second in the standings, scored good points in all but 1 race so far this season, and he knows exactly what it's like to be in a championship fight.
That man loves a quali format. No driver has more poles this season than Pascal Wehrlein. And don't be fooled by the old cool, calm, collected off the track. He loves getting his elbows out.
Yes, but when it comes to battling, is there anyone more fierce than Oliver Rowland? He is having the season of his life. 6 podiums, 2 pole positions, plus he's bringing that Nissan power into the powertrain fight.
What about the man who's bringing rock star energy into the paddock? I'm talking about the reigning and defending undisputed Formula E champion of the world, Jake Dennis Saunders.
Good point. Qualifying struggles certainly seem to be behind him. He's got the full package. Maybe it's time to see a record-breaking resurgence just like last time, Razzie.
Could be. Question, was bigger the Drivers' Championship or the Manufacturers' Championship?
Oh, I mean, that is a potential dilemma for Jaguar TCS Racing and Mitch Evans. He's 5th in the standings. He's been in the championship fight before, but he's also the key to Jaguar team success and keeping them at the top of the teams and manufacturer standings.
This is so exciting. This is so captivating. That is our fantastic 5. There's so much we don't know, but what we do know is there is still 174 points still up for grabs. Saunders, the end of the season is in sight. It's going to be an absolute thriller.
Exactly, and it carries on right here. The last new circuit of the season, the last great equaliser. Radzi, it's game on.
Game on indeed.
Oh, it is very much game on, boys, indeed. Well, you can see there the head-to-head of Nick Cassidy against Pascal Wehrlein there. 16 points in it. Nick Cassidy has been on the podium 7 times. Unbelievable. And claimed 2 wins. Pascal Wehrlein only been on the podium twice, but those have, of course, both been wins. Now, Pascal Wehrlein is just phenomenal at qualifying. He always manages to nail that 1-lap pace. Billy, is that going to play into his advantage here in Shanghai?
I think it's definitely a factor. You know, we're going to a lot of different circuits. You know, 3 double headers to the end of the season. So I think it's qualifying is going to be important, and it's going to be important to nail the first Saturday. You know, at those double headers to set yourself up for the entire weekend.
Brilliant. Well, there might be 174 points up for grabs till the end of the season, but there's only 3 available for pole position. Let's go to our commentators, Tom Brooks.
The fight for pole position is underway here as we are qualifying for the 11th round of the ABB FIA Formula E Championship. Takes us to Shanghai in China. It's our 3rd different track here in mainland China. We were in Beijing, then we were in Sanya, and now we are here again in Shanghai. We raced in Hong Kong, of course, which is nearby as well. But after the political riots as well, back in, I believe, 2019, we didn't go back. It's a shame. I really enjoyed that circuit. But the atmosphere here in China is fantastic. They really have opened up the doors. There's a welcoming atmosphere as well. Everybody I've spoken to, both inside the Formula E paddock and the Formula 1 paddock, have said how different it feels and also how nice it is to be back. Green light, though, is on at the end of the pit lane, and we are underway with the cars venturing out onto the circuit for the 12-minute session. It's a different layout than what we're used to in Formula 1 as well. The first 8 corners are identical, with the long sweeping turn 1 feeds into turn 2, downhill left double at 3 and 4, little kink at 5 for the braking zone of the hairpin at 6, 7, 8 and 9, 7, 8 are the same with the long sweep left and then right. But turn 9's where it gets different, because instead of the double right 9 and 10, where was my favourite corner on the track, where you can carry so much power down, you might notice on the driver tracker, it sort of kinks and goes straight. That's because it goes straight across the pit lane entry and takes you back into a little chicane area at 9-10. And then where 11 is, it goes over the pit lane entry to Formula 1 and then back out onto the start line. I played this first time in R-Factor back in 2008, this layout of the track. So it is a layout that is designed for this circuit. Formula E haven't just come and butchered it like they did in Mexico City or like they did in Valencia at the Ricardo Tormo circuit. This layout is purpose-built as part of one of 4 different layouts you can have here in Shanghai. So it is a layout that we can use. I'm surprised we've never actually gone to Malaysia. Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur, which we were supposed to be going to next season as the season finale. Their layout is pretty much identical with the first 2 sectors, then it loops back round at turn 9, back on to the start-finish straight. And the Malaysia round was supposed to be next year's season finale. It's now not going to be. So it looks like we're either back at London or going to Silverstone on the national circuit or the international circuit, I'm being told, actually, with the Silverstone wing for the Silverstone E-Prix, which would be exciting, but just call it the British E-Prix, because otherwise you're going to have to call it like the Northamptonshire E-Prix or the Buckinghamshire E-Prix, because it doesn't work out. Now we've got London, so either just call it the Silverstone E-Prix or just call it the British E-Prix, to be honest with you. It gets a little bit confusing. Boemi, second sector, has gone quicker as well as it comes into that. It is 20... Well, I'm trying to work it out, actually, but Boemi is 23.882, but times are changing because we've got fastest first sector for Stoffel Van Dorn, 25.265. Second sector goes to Evans, 23.838. Boemi comes into the last 2 corners, downhill out of the last corner, boots up towards the line, and Boemi is a 1:14.879. He's the first one on the board. Norman Nato second across it. He does a 1:14.831. Evans goes fastest, 1:14.514. Cassidy slots into second position, 1:14.682. As they come across it as well. Here comes Stoffel Van Dorn. He goes last, 1:19.021. Roland goes top, 1:14.469. So it's an interesting lap here. Formula 1 usually doing about 1:30, don't they, on their lap time? So, yeah, we are slower than a Formula 1 on that layout, but we don't use the massive long back straight because you just have no regen zone. We're expecting another Peloton-style race later on as well, another 15 laps or so that we're going to be regenning so much energy back into the car. Ed Hunter will be alongside me in the commentary box for that one, as Boemi continues to charge on. Just dropping down into the last 2 corners. Fastest second sector, actually, at 23.777, and Boemi has actually decided to come into the pit lane early on. So 8 minutes in, Boemi straight back into the pit lane. I wonder if anyone else is going to risk doing 2 laps, then going out for another, as I get loads of pins and needles standing up in the commentary box as well. Hello to Beth. I hear TV audiences for Formula E grew 62 million in 2023. To 86 million in 2024. Live audiences grew 37% year on year, 45 mil to 61 mil. Social media impressions 44%. Yeah, I don't know how social media's going that well. And video views have more than doubled. Does this accord with what you hear and see in Formula E? Is an engagement among fans? Formula E has definitely grown over the last couple of seasons as well. I think the rebrand at the start of Season 9 really helped the series. And since Gen 3 as well, last season, they've really pushed to grow the series, to engage with new fans as well. But I don't know how, because we go to these races, the grandstands aren't full, the atmosphere is busy, it's all feeling great, but the grandstands aren't full and the racing is a bit chaotic. I think the enjoyment of pack racing is something, but it's not great for the series. It's like a juxtaposition. Pack racing isn't what it's designed to be, but the fans are enjoying it. So it's a bit weird. But yes, Beth, I do agree with you. It's great that the TV audiences are growing. I think the move as well away from street circuits to more traditional Grand Prix circuits is making it a bit more entertaining. It's no longer really seen as a gimmick. Formula E, it's seen as an actual world championship, the more professional racetracks we go to. So the more it goes on, the more better it will be. And I think as well, our viewing figures sometimes are up and down depending on where the racing goes. But they need to have a bit more stability with social media. They need to have a bit more online presence. And I still think the races should be free on YouTube. I know it would kill us on the watch-longs, but the racing should be free as well. But yeah, I agree, Beth. It's great to see, but they need to have improvements as well. How's it down there in Australia, actually, Beth? Where can you watch it over there in Australia? Because I know TNT have it in the UK. I know Eurosport have it in Europe. I know Rocket have it in America, with as well as CBS, but I don't actually know what it's like in Australia, Beth. So if you can let me know, that'd be fantastic. As we see Norman Nato coming through turn 7, just at a slower speed before the flick into 8, and then you'll see if you're watching along with us. Instead of going into the left, you just sort of go straight on down. So you take turn 9 and sort of halfway through, and then you jump over the track. And this is actually, it's very weird for me because I remember playing this part of the track on the video game back in 2008, as I said, and it's weird seeing it. But yeah, maybe we should do that. Do driver lineups like Van Dorn, Degrassi and Buemi suggest it's a second-rate series to F1 and no options to watch it here in Australia at all? What? Wow. So that's massive neglect, considering as well that Formula E want a race in Australia. They want to race in Adelaide. They want an Adelaide E-Prix. Wow. It's not even on YouTube over there? Formula E missing a massive market there in Australia. Neil Nada. Wow. Do you know, I'm gonna speak with Tom Brooks about that later when I give him a ring, the lead commentator on Formula E. Can't believe that. But yeah, I think as well, familiar names like Van Dorn, Degrassi, Buemi as well, those who have had followings and die-hard fans as well, who've maybe those who raced in Formula 1, sort of drag the names in and go, oh, let's take a look at this, and the racing speaks for itself. So I think Formula E still is a very niche series in terms of its die-hard fans of motorsport who will watch the series. It's not like a Formula 1 where you come in and you can pick up quite quickly. Let's hear from Stoffel Van Dorn.
Okay, confirmation. Do we do the push-pull push or do we go for the same again? Okay, let's do the same as you did in the first run.
So Van Dorn being told he's just going to do the first one as well, as he's top at the moment. But yeah, just tried searching on YouTube Zip. Wow. Can't believe that. I want to watch, but so hard here in Australia, almost like they didn't want any fans down here. That's bizarre, because they do. They want an Adelaide E-Prix, and yet they haven't got any television rights. That's bonkers. I'm going to chase up. Do you know what, Beth? I'm going to chase up for you, actually. I'm doing it right now. Where it was? I'm doing it right now, Beth. I'm typing Stan Sports, apparently. That's what I've got coming up here when I typed in on my Formula E media page. Stan Sports. Live coverage of all sessions on the Stan Sports platform. 9 Go will wrap up the weekend with highlights as well for fans in Australia. So it's live on Stan Sports, and it's 9 Go for wrap-up. Beth, there you go. Is Stan Sports like Sky Sports? I assume so. So yeah. So Stan Sports and 9 Go. 9 Go have the highlights, apparently. That's all I know. Stan is a pay platform. Of course it is. So it is like Sky Sports. Probably is the Sky Sports over there. 2 minutes to go. So it looks like, Beth, you're stuck with 9 Go. What is 9 Go? Is that like a free-to-air channel? Channel 9. Sky over here is Foxtel. Oh! I'd love to live in Australia for a year or two. I really would. It's on my bucket list. Maybe I'll have to retire and spend a year watching Formula One like you lot do down there as well. 9Go is free to air. Oh, brilliant! So they've got they've got the highlights, Beth. So they've got after the weekend. Don't know when though, but you think so. That's why Stan Sports is pay. So Formula E, who said they wanted free-to-air television, now have gone behind paywalls. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna. Now this is a bit cheeky. I know it's gonna sound big-headed and name-dropping here, but we've actually got the email and people in our commentary who have spoken and interviewed the Formula E CEO Jeff Dodds. So we're trying to get Jeff on for a session before the end of the year, but it's quite hard to. So I think we might have an interview with him where we're going to sit down and put questions to him, and he'll air it in our pre-show at some point when there's a free weekend. But tell you what, Beth, I'm going to write that down. And one of those questions is going to be free-to-air television for America, for Australia. Free-to-air Australia. Written it down. This could be close, says Lou. It could be. Let's go through quickly. 28 seconds to go. Van Dorn, Evans, Cassidy, Rowland. They're all separated by a tenth of a second. Then Buemi, Gunther, Nato, Degrassi, Tickton, Fenestras, Druvula. Look at that. They're all separated by 4/10 of a second. You've got the individual gaps on your screen now. You can see how close they all are. Is everyone going to get across the line in time? Yes, they did. Checkered flag is out then. Who's got the best deal? No one's setting it. Oh, yeah, Buemi. 25. 162 in that first sector. Buemi is finding the time as they jump through across the last corner. Rowland's in P4 at the moment. Comes across the line. Does he improve? Up to second by 10 thousandths of a second off. It's a 1:14.252. Here comes nothing from Tickton or Fenestras. 9th and 10th. Buemi's still got the fastest first sector. Buemi stays 5th. Buemi is out of it. Van Dorn still top. Nato still P7. Van Dorn doesn't improve. Nato comes across the line. Nato goes 3rd. Out goes Cassidy. One of the Jaguars will not make it through to the next part of qualifying. So someone's at risk here. Degrassi's not improving either. Druvula from 11th goes 10th. Gunther comes across the line in 7th for the second Maserati. He doesn't improve. Does Cassidy kick out Evans? Cassidy, no! Cassidy fails to go through. The championship contender and leader fails to go through. Evans makes it, and Cassidy does not go through. And James Barkley doesn't know what's happened there. Looking down on the monitor, unbelievable. And it's by around about, 17 thousandths, 11 thousandths of a second? Nick Cassidy, who leads the championship by minimal points, is now not going to be there. 15 points he leads the championship by, and he's not going to be on pole position. He's going to start at best 9th on the grid. Wow.
Challenging out there, man. Yeah. Okay, one more car to close, still P1. Closes P1, good job, dude.
Oh, that is disgusting, as Beth says as well. Formula E highlights for Shanghai Race 1 are on 9Go on Tuesday the 28th of May at 12 to 1 p.m. No one's going to see that in Australia. The lunchtime shift on a work day in Australia, that's despicable. We get Berlin highlights for the first time on 9Go in 2 hours from now. That's insane. Well, Beth, stick with us. You can always catch up here. Oh, and there goes TNT. TNT have adverts, you see, and then they make me talk with a bad voice. Here's the results then from the first part of this qualifying session. The 4 going through: Stoffel Van Dorn, Oliver Rowland, Norman Nato, Mitch Evans. They're the 4 going through. Cassidy getting eliminated, as well as Buemi. Then we've got Gunther, Degrassi. They've just ticked off, but I did screenshot them. So Cassidy's out, Buemi, Gunther, Degrassi, Tickton, Jaruvula, and Fenestras taking it down to 11. Yeah, very much. It's high drama indeed. The second part of the qualifying session is going to be out shortly as well. For the first few minutes, I'm going to hand over to the world feed to get my voice just a little bit of a rest, because that's the one issue as well. I just need to take care of it. We've got a lot of streams coming up, 42 in total this weekend. I think we've got something like 36 to go. Something along those lines by now. which is why I'm watching here, says Beth. Yeah. Hello, Beth. It's nice to see you again. We always miss you, Beth, by the way. Everybody always says, where is Beth in the comments as well when you're not here. So it's nice to see you again. I hope you come through during Le Mans as well. Oh, Beth sent the link. Let's open that up. Formula E highlights. Sydney TV guide. Oh, wow, you're right. So, 25th of May, 2 till 3:10 p.m. That's Berlin Race 1. But at least Berlin Race 2 is straight after. Shanghai is on Tuesday, isn't it? Wow. And Wednesday for Race 2. That's insane. So you get the highlights, but not really in much angle. That is annoying. That's beyond wrong. Absolutely beyond wrong. Right, hang on a minute. No, yeah, it's still in Stan Sports. That's insane. I've just clicked the link that Beth put in as well. Formula E needs to be on free-to-air television. It really does. It needs to have that viewership and that connection with fans. Yes, the television rates are up, but no way to watch it live without paying for it is ridiculous. Right, second session then is going to start in a few moments' time. For now, let's hand it back over to Tom Brooks as well before I start up talking and yapping for the second session as well, which is probably going to go green like 8 seconds' time.
So, time to go then for Group B qualifying here in Shanghai. This is how it lines up. Pascal Wehrlein, Jake Dennis, John-Eric Verne, Antonio Felix da Costa, Sam Bird and Jake Hughes, the Neil McLaren duo in there, as well as Robin Freint, Nico Muller, Sergio Sette Camara, Eda Mortara and Nick De Vries. So we've got 2 Mahindras, 2 McLarens in there, and also we've got 2 drivers who have had a bit of needle between them, I think it's fair to say, over the course of 2024. Jake Dennis and Pascal Wehrlein, they're not too much love lost between them over the course of this year.
Yeah, when it comes to, in the race, they've definitely been getting their elbows out to each other and, a bit of contact here and there. Hopefully we don't see that in qualifying though, Tom, because it's not something we usually see. And hopefully they've learned, because, the championship isn't just being fought between them two. Obviously Nick Cassidy's just gone out, and I touched on earlier about how it's now important to make the difference and get through to the duels for someone like a Pascal Wehrlein and a Jake Dennis to put yourself in the best position to make up some points.
Well, here is Norman Nato, made it through into the duels for the second time this season. He'll be pretty pleased with that. 2 in a row, actually, for Norman Nato as well, following off the back of the Berlin qualifying result, which saw both of the Andrettis through. Only 1 Jaguar, though, going through. And Nick Cassidy, he's only had 1 front row start this year as well. Given where he's finished, he's been on the podium several times this season. Really surprised me.
Well, to be fair, he missed out by less than the blink of an eye to go P1. So, let alone making it through into the duels to be only 9 thousandths off. It's unbelievable to actually find out that you're not making it through from that smaller margin. Must be a very difficult one to swallow.
Yeah. On the other side of the garage, this man here, Mitch Evans, will be looking forward to getting into the duels in a few moments' time as well.
Yeah, he's keeping a lid on his excitement, but I imagine, when he saw that he got through by 9 thousandths of a second, there was a sense of relief from Mitch Evans where he thought, oh, that was a bit too tight.
Right, Jake Dennis then out on track here in the Porsche-powered Andretti. Porsche, as we heard earlier on, committing to Gen 4 up until 2030 in Formula E, which is fantastic news. So we've now got Jaguar in, we've got Nissan in, and we've got Porsche locked in as well. So looking forward to seeing what it means for the future of Formula E and how exciting that is going to be as we look at Dennis making his way on the brakes down in towards turn 6.
Yeah, his first sector as well is a 25.413, second sector 23.982. So he's got the speed to get up there and keep with the gaps out on the circuit. Lou, I agree with you. This is very interesting for the championship as well, that we've got just Cassidy at least either 9th or 10th on the grid by qualifying 5th. That's where he's going to be. So inside that top 10. Some people call that a good result if this was Formula 1, of course, but it's Peloton-style racing. It's not going to be as dramatic as we think. It's just those 3 points he loses for pole position. 1:14.910 then. Dennis going straight away for a power lap. 508 seconds off the pace. Jaruvla as well. Just being told in my ear it was under investigation, so we'll keep an eye out if he changes that. Oh my word, I am really getting pins and needles all over. Something's irritating me, like making me feel in the commentary box, like chill blades, because it's a bit cold. What are we up to now? Don't know. So, Da Costa up by a tenth and a half. Verline's coming into that first sector now, down towards turn 6. Da Costa is up to second. Vern third. Muller fourth. No. It's Dennis from Da Costa. No. Changes every second. Bird's gone second. Hughes has gone third. So Bird, with a fully repaired wrist, is now back up into second position. Dennis is top. 64,000's back, then is Bird. Hughes is third. Da Costa fourth. De Vries, Vern, Muller, Freins, Verline, Sete Kamara and Mortara. That's the order. But we've yet to see them all do their proper power lap time runarounds as we come into that last corner. Very slow lap time there from Robin Freins, actually. He's about 2 seconds up. Yeah, 1.2 seconds down, and Freins slots into 4th place. But they can go faster. They will go faster. Da Costa does go faster. 1:14.486. 4 tenths faster than Jake Dennis. Verline now goes top as well, and the other as well, Porsche, but DS Penske of Jean-Eric Verne goes faster at a 1:14.385. 10th quicker. Look at that. Look at that. Verne, he's a 10th faster than Verline, but Verline and Da Costa are separated by 1,000th of a second. That's insane. Take a look at the champion. Look at that. Verne is a 1:14.485. Da Costa 1:14.486. Insane lap times there. As you see, there's 3 sectors, then the time combined. Really are just going for it out there, aren't they, on this version of the layout? Oh, Bird trailing in. Let's hear from his radio.
So good improvement in turn 3. We still need more to come. More to come turn 3, but good improvement.
The voice of Steve.
Yeah, Bird is down into P8 right now. Hughes has had his lap time deleted by the steward, so he's gone down to 11th place. Freins improves up to 6th, just behind the two McLarens. So that's a 1:14.821 on the board for Robin Freins. So yeah, just keeps improving little by little. They will have these sort of improvement moments, the big moments, I like to call them as well. They're sort of the worry moments as well, as they trail down into the braking zone. Bird from Hughes, 8th and 11th at the moment. And everyone just building up in this second group. We're halfway through, 6 minutes to go, 6 down. And everyone just building up to see who's got an actual better lap time. Yeah, just little by little, skating around. Oh, and he jumps over the curb a little bit there into 9 and 10. The new 9 and 10 into 11 and 12, the last 2 corners on the track. And Bird towing Hughes around. Bird's lap time puts him 7th fastest. Hughes, though, jumps up into the top 4. 24 thousandths off of Jean-Eric Verne's time. It's a 1:14.409 for Jake Hughes. Dennis comes into the last 2 corners now and boxes. So several of them coming into the pit lane then and backing on their lap times. Verne, Hughes, Verline, Da Costa the top 4 in the drop zone. De Vries, Muller, Dennis, Bird, Freins, Mortara, Sete Kamara. As the rest of the field will box this lap, unless they're going to, the two McLarens is going to stay out there and change round. Tyre change, the second set. 4 sets of tyres this weekend, 2 for Saturday, 2 for Sunday. That's all you get in Formula E. A practice and quali set and then a race set, ideally. But the teams always like to change them around. The Hankook tyres have got a lot of durability on them as well. They're turning down to the world feed as we get cars still circulating
So
out there.
far this year has been second
Hughes.
in Diriyah.
Okay, so good improvement. Now just under 1:10 sector 1, 1:10 sector 2, and just under 1:10 sector 3.
Likewise, another man who needs a good race weekend is Jake Hughes, out of the points and comprehensively outperformed by his rookie teammate last time out as well.
Yeah, he's definitely someone who he's shown glimpses this season, particularly in Misano. You know, in qualifying, he was electric. But yeah, the last couple of races hasn't quite gone to plan for him, and I think this is a circuit, you know, where qualifying, you know, it's not going to be everything, but I feel like starting high up the order is more important than some of the other circuits we've been to. Interesting to hear his engineer saying that he had nearly a tenth of a second to find in all 3 sectors, yet he's only 200ths off the top. I think that suggests that we're going to see some lap times dropping. Compared to Group A, it was about a 1 minute 14.0 that, you know, got you through. So a few tenths still to play for.
Well, just over 3.5 minutes now left in this session. Which of these drivers is going to be more delighted than the Dachshund, and which is going to be more sadder than St. Bernard? We're about to find out as we look at Da Costa heading down into the first corner. You can see there on the outside one of the Mahindras just sitting off the racing line as we head through that long sweeping right-hander. It's actually a fair bit of elevation change. The camera sort of doesn't do it much justice going through there, but it does drop off quite significantly going into turn 3.
Yeah, there's a big drop to the apex at turn 3, and again, that's what we heard Jake and his engineer, you know, saying that there's still more time through turn 3. You know, I imagine that's, you know, potentially about rolling more speed through the apex. Maybe they're suffering a bit of understeer as they go, you know, down that drop.
Yeah, looks like it, doesn't it? Like they get sort of a run downhill and then just sort of run it from there. Still got to find some way through. So, the first session was a 1:14.0. Now it's a 1:14.3. Track conditions haven't changed. 27-degree track temperature. Air temperature, air temperature 28 degrees. So they're right about the same. 66% humidity. Cloud cover as well. So it shouldn't change that much. No wind speed either. So these clouds are just sort of staying around, not moving. Gravity movement, really. Verline to the top, 1:14.341, 44 thousandths quicker than Vern. Here's Sete Kamara's radio.
There's still so much air coming into my visor, man.
That's going to be distracting as well. Not going to do it, it'll make me feel sick, but imagine opening your mouth and on a motorway. That's how it's going to feel like. Just stick your head out the window, open your mouth on a motorway. Not nice. See? I've got a lump in my throat and it really hurts because I lost my voice the other week. So I've got to be really careful with myself. And solo in the commentary box is not the best idea, so I keep handing over to the world feed. I apologise for that. But even the idea of it makes my throat hurt. It's like, it's just here. It's like it starts here and then it hits here. So it's really not good when I did it. I coughed on a restart uncontrollably. And yeah, I did something. So I won the juice. Let's try and fix it. Dennis still looking strong, but 58 seconds to go. Let's hear from him.
Well.
Tighter line, exit T3 also. Tighter line, exit T3. Focus brake warm up. I'll leave it with you now.
Leave it with me now. Let's see what you can do. Just who's got the better gumption. Last 2 corners on the track. 35 seconds left on the clock. It's weird seeing Shanghai as a Formula E venue as well. We're so used to it in Formula 1. We did race here once or twice with MotoGP. That's the layout. The riders liked it. Good racing. We liked it. I don't know why we haven't come back. It's an ideal venue, actually, for MotoGP. Bring MotoGP here. So, checker flag is coming out. The last times in Group B, then. Who's going to be the 4 to go through to the quarterfinals? Sam Bird is P9 at the moment with a broken wrist. Goes up to 6th position. Doesn't do it. Jake Hughes, though. Fastest for McLaren, a 1:14.140. Remarkable lap time there. Robin Freins jumps up from 10th to 2nd. Wow, 1:14.336. So, Da Costa is out. De Vries could be out. Let's just see what happens. Da Costa next across the line. Vern touches the grass, goes 2nd. That pushes Freins down to 3rd. Da Costa brazes through the dust and goes 2nd. Out goes Jean-Eric Vern at the moment. De Vries doesn't make it. Dennis next across the line touches the grass. Dennis, does he go through? Mortara's out of it. Dennis goes 6th. Jake Dennis doesn't make it through. Freins completes 4th. Vern goes 2nd. Freins is out of qualifying. Both Porsches currently through, which is crucial. Does Verline make it through to qualifying? That's the question. Sete Kamara goes 8th. Here comes Nico Muller. He goes into 8th position as well. Verline does make it through to the quarterfinals. He'll have a higher starting position than that of Nick Cassidy. The championship is hotting up and closing up. But Hughes, by 4,000th of a second fastest, 1:14.140. Vern da Costa, Verline as well. Let's have it back over to the world feed.
They were in FP2. He was last.
P10 on a 14. Okay, mate. You heard downtown clapping, exactly. That's P1 on a 14.1. Jeff P2, 14.1. Da Costa P3, 42.
Well, how the tables turn for McLaren. Bottom of the pile in free practice 2 this morning. Top of the lot here in Group B for Jake Hughes.
Well, if all drivers listen to their race engineers when they request lap time, it would be very impressive.
Yeah, that is very impressive there for Jake Hughes. Let's get confirmation of Group B qualifying then. So Jake Hughes, Jean-Eric Verne, Antonio Felix da Costa and Pascal Wehrlein are the 4 drivers that will go forwards into the duels. We lose Freitz, we lose reigning world champion Jake Dennis, De Vries, Muller, Sete Camara, Sam Bird and also Edo Mortara do not make the cut. So let's see what happens as we get ready for more power and more drama coming into the quarterfinals. That's along the way in a few minutes.
Yep, it is, and it's about 10 minutes actually, the gap coming up as well, so it's a little bit longer. So as we just heard there from Tom Brooks, Hughes, Verne, da Costa, Verline, they will join Van Dorn, Rowland, Nato and Evans in the quarterfinals. We lost though Cassidy, Boemi, Gunther, Degrassi, Tictum, Jeruvela, Fenestras. Then in Group B we lost Freins, Dennis, De Vries, Muller, Seti Kamara, Bird and Mortada. That's those who are out of the session then, and we just have to sort of wait now to see who's going to go out next in the remaining session. The qualifying session, which shifts everything around as well and moves everything into a new position, and we all go, all right, let's just see what that's going to have then as we load up the blog, because we'll be here for a little bit longer in the session. Very surprised as well that Cassidy didn't go through. Great news that Verline went through as well. Let's check up then with Twitter. If I get signal up here in the commentary box, because, you know, it's 4 AM here in the UK coming up as well, so it doesn't always have the greatest signal. Yeah. Doesn't really go too well as it comes into it. Right, I think my signal is just about going to hold here. Trying to type in Shanghai E-Prix into Twitter isn't the greatest as well to try and get it working. Yeah, I know it's going to say closed, but it's because I'm not really here. Right, latest then. Who's saying what? Jake goes through from Neo McLaren FE. Top of Group B. Jake advances to the duels. Unfortunately, Sam doesn't make it. He finishes the session P10. Let's see who else is saying something as well. Formula E Zone are tweeting. I believe that's Pico, who's in the chat as well. Translating post from Sona Curry, who says, look at Jake Hughes advancing to the duels as well, so she's happy over there. Close call and quick reaction. Jeruvela finally got a lap in on his final hot lap of the session, but wasn't good enough. Castine, the championship leader, missed out in 4th. That was a while ago actually coming through. As we fly back, I don't see anything on the latest Twitter using the hashtag. See, this is what I want about, as to mention Beth earlier on. Yeah, the social media, it's not that great, is it, for an input? There's not a lot of people on the hashtag for Shanghai E-Prix. So not many people know about it, and not many people know what to tweet. So, yeah, let's have a look at hashtag ABB Formula E, see if there's not many people tweeting on that. No, Formula Geldek is the only one tweeting on that. What about hashtag Formula E? A little bit more activity on that. Yeah, here we go. A little bit, no, not that much actually as well. Right, let's head down then to, I think, Tom Brooks or Nikki Shields. The world feed have us as we get ready for the duels starting soon. Nato v Rowland in the first one.
So preparation now getting underway for the quarterfinals then, as the drivers are back in the pit lane. Jean-Eric Verne sat there just about to have a discussion with his race engineer as we get ready for qualifying to continue. As we wait for the duels to get underway then, let's go down to Nikki, who's in the pit lane.
Thanks very much, Tom. A busy group qualifying session there. Huge congratulations to Stoffel van Dorn and Jake Hughes, their quickest in their groups. But commiserations, our championship contender right at the top, Nick Cassidy, hasn't made it through. What are the implications of that going to be, James?
Well, the smallest of margins. I mean, the first implication is not going to be fighting for those 3 points for pole position. That's probably a big blow to him. But having said that, in this style of racing we're going to see this afternoon, he has every chance to come through and make it count later on today.
It's quite unique, isn't it, that actually it was Mitch Evans, his teammate, that pushed him out of getting through to the quarterfinals by 1/10 of a second.
Well, 9 thousandths of a second. I mean, it's less than a blink of an eye. It's unbelievably close out there in Group A. And I mean, to lose out to your teammate is probably the worst one to lose out to in that situation.
Well, speaking of teammates, obviously Jake Hughes for McLaren put it on the top spot in his group qualifying session. Sam Bird in P10. The pressure is really mounting for him.
High pressure indeed. I think it was high pressure for both of them going into that session. I had a terrible free practice too. They were at the bottom of the timesheets. Jake Hughes to deliver a top time there. Very, very impressive from him.
Yeah, OK, so looking into the drivers that of course, are going into the finals, the quarterfinals, we've got Pascal Wehrlein. He's managed to get through. I think this is his 10th time in the duels. Phenomenal. And Mitch Evans as well, of course, another championship rival at the top.
Yeah, they need to capitalise on that. They need to make sure that those two are starting as far forward as possible. Keep themselves clean if they want to take a little bit of an advantage this afternoon for the championship fight.
Well, let's hear from, well, basically the man who has kind of nailed the strategy in Formula E, but hasn't quite nailed qualifying here in Shanghai. Razzies with Nick Cassidy.
Nick Cassidy, championship leader so far. That was unbelievably tight. 7 1/1000ths between you and the duels. How was it from your end?
Yeah, to be honest, I struggled in quali. I probably had a better car in practice, but it's okay. I think the race, you know, you can kind of start anywhere, so it's all good.
Touching on that just very quickly, is we have no idea how this race is going to go, but something tells me that quali won't necessarily matter as much as possibly other tracks.
Yeah, exactly. So if we're going to have a bad quali, today is probably the day.
Race well today.
Thanks.
Well, good to hear from Nick Cassidy there. Obviously, you know, he doesn't seem too bothered. He's not flustered, is he? We can see he's carrying that momentum from such a successful race weekend. He had a win and a second-place finish in Berlin. He doesn't seem worried about it. Does he need to be?
He's still in the window. I think if you're in the top 10, you're going to be okay. I think, you know, you'd prefer to be in the top 8, I think, around here, Billy. I don't think you want to be slipping any further back than that.
Yeah, I think it's just more about for Nick Cassidy, you know, he doesn't want to get involved in that mid-pack, you know, carnage that we sometimes have with the first lap. So I think being where he is, he should be just in front of that. But again, it's an extra risk for him, and he's someone who doesn't want any risk because he's right up there in the championship.
That's a really interesting point, because obviously in Formula E, being in that melee, in that mid-pack is always extremely dangerous. But of course, we're normally used to racing at very tight, twisty, unforgiving street circuits where the walls are like here. Whereas obviously this, we've got a lovely wide track. There is a little bit more room for manoeuvre. Is it going to be a more forgiving circuit?
Forgiving, I'm not sure if it's going to be forgiving when they're 5 wide going into turn 1 later on this afternoon. I think it's going to be very tense. And I think, you know, the guys at the back are going to try and take the opportunity to get straight to the front.
Yeah, well, let's remind ourselves of what happened in Group 2. It was, of course, Jake Hughes at the front. Also, Jean-Eric Verne, your strong pick for the weekend, made it through. But Jake Dennis, he hasn't. And here's another driver that, unfortunately, we consistently see the pace isn't there on one lap for him in qualifying. Is anything going to change over the course of the season for him?
Well, it was there in Berlin in race 2, but
he's
really struggled to deliver that. I think the interesting one for me in the group is Jean-Eric. He was second place in the group, which means he doesn't have to go against his teammate. So this was actually a big break for DS Penske. I think they're looking extremely strong for pole position here.
Do you think we're going to see Andretti go knocking at the door of Porsche and saying, could you give us all your data and tell us how to set up the car for tomorrow's qualifying?
Why wouldn't they do that? It worked for them in Berlin last time out. So, yeah, I think 100% they'll be getting as much data, as much information, you know, out of Porsche as possible because, you know, they know they need to turn it around.
Yeah, all right. So, who do you think we're going to see in the final?
Jev.
Jev.
I think Van Dorn, he's always good at qualifying.
Oh, that would be a nice little rivalry there. Brilliant stuff. Well, we do know the 8 drivers that are going into the quarterfinals, but we will soon find out who will be taking pole position in Shanghai. And of course, those 3 critical championship points. Let's find out.
It is time to go for the duels then here in Shanghai, round 11 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship, and we are very excited for this one. Let's have a look and see the drivers as we get ready to go for the first of the qualifying duels then. Quarterfinals coming up, there'll be 8 drivers in that, then we'll go down to 4 for the semi-finals in 2 groups, and then of course 2 drivers going head-to-head in pole positions fight as well. Before we have a look at those drivers, let's have a look at highlights from qualifying. So in Group A, it was a fairly standard affair. 11 drivers went onto the circuit. We wondered who was going to progress forwards from that. Well, it was the light for Stoffel Van Dorn as he managed to make it through in the DS Penske. Mitch Evans in the Jaguar also managed to progress forwards, but his teammate Nick Cassidy sadly did not. Norman Nato put in a brilliant performance both yesterday and this morning in free practices. We wondered whether that would translate into good qualifying pace, and so it turned out to be as he managed to get into the duels for only the 2nd time this season, as Oliver Rowland also progressed forwards. Checker flag came out. You can see here this is Stoffel Van Dorn as he improved on his fires this time to go and make it into the duels, as did Mitch Evans. And you can see the contrasting fortunes on the face of James Barkley and also Phil Ingram, as Nick Cassidy, the championship leader, was out of qualifying in the group stages. As we headed then into Group B, we wondered which of the drivers would be making it forwards into the next steps. Would it be championship rival Jake Dennis? Would it be Sam Bird on his return to Formula E? Well, Bird sadly missed out and actually qualified 10th in that group. We saw a few moments for Antonio Felix da Costa, but both of the Tag Heuer Porsches made it forwards into the next steps. We saw Jake Hughes with an emphatic lap right at the very end of that session, and also Jean-Eric Verne in the DS Penske. Those were the 4 drivers who make it through into the duels here this morning. As a bit of dust got kicked up for da Costa, but it did not dampen his spirits as he came across the timing line. It was the light for Tag Heuer Porsche, and they'll be very much hoping to progress forwards from the quarterfinals into the semis and of course into the finals as well. Preparation now well underway, and we look forward to seeing what is going to happen here for round 11. So then, the fans watching on here in Shanghai, it's been a brilliant atmosphere so far this weekend here, Billy. Great to have Formula E back in China, of course, where it all began back in 2014. Let's have a look at the quarterfinals then. So we've got Norman Nato versus Oliver Rowland, we've got Mitch Evans versus Stoffel Van Dorn, Antonio Felix da Costa versus Jean-Eric Verne, and then Pascal Wehrlein versus Jake Hughes. If you had a fiver on anybody going through out of these, who would it be?
For me, I think the DS Penske's in qualifying trim look good. So, you know, Jean-Eric Verne and Van Dorn, they're 2 to watch out for, I think.
What about yourself there, James? Hang on a moment.
Yeah, the problem is more the balance. If we do that, then the actual car balance is going to be more in the direction that it's already. So
Okay, agree.
I don't think it's a good idea.
Okay, agreed on that, copy that.
Well, glad we got the beat machine.
We did hear Rowland saying that the car was much better than his performance in Group A, and yet he still made it through. So he could spring a surprise here.
Well, in terms of how things look going into these duels as well, we've got more power for the drivers. We go up from 300 to 350 kilowatts. There's only 1 flying lap, so we have the 2 drivers going head-to-head, if you're not familiar with the duel format, by the way. They go out on the track at the same time, but over a set distance, so they don't impede each other on their laps. They get 1 build lap and then 1 flying lap, and if they make a mistake, well, that could be it done.
Yeah, that is the thing when it comes down to this sort of format of qualifying. It isn't just a 1-lap dash, it's all pressure on that 1 lap. And interestingly, compared to what we saw, you know, in the group qualifying, people were taking a little bit more time to, you know, build the tyre temperature. You know, there was different strategies being deployed by different teams on how to do that. When it comes to this format, James, they've just got 1 option.
Yeah, you've only got 1 option, so you have to go out and then push straight away. One of the things they can decide is which set of tyres they use for this part of the duels. So they can take the hotter tyres from the group stage or the slightly cooler ones that they use first. So how they play with that, and you can also mix from to rear as well.
Oliver Rowland versus Norman Nato in quarterfinal 1 then. 71% of you reckon it will go the way of the boy from Barnsley then. Let's see what he's going to be able to do. Norman Nato, though, his form this weekend suggests otherwise.
Yeah, he was top of FP2 using this same power output, so, you know, it suggests that the car is in a good place balance-wise when we, you know, go up to 350 kilowatts, so it will be interesting to see. I think it'll be quite a tight battle here.
Here we go then. Time to find out who's got it right and who's got it not, as the green light goes on here in Shanghai. Just making sure that everything's working on the blog as we come back to it now as well. And fade over to our qualifying dual screen. Nato v Roland then, Andretti versus Nissan. I'm expecting Oliver Roland to be fastest here as well. That Nissan has been very good in pack racing over the past 5 races that we've had it. The 2 at Mazzano going in then as well to Monaco. And then last time out as well, the double header in Berlin. Braking hard now down into turn 6. Roland, 3rd in the race, doing for the championship, 118 points. Verline is on 124. Cassidy leads the way though on 140. So there's plenty to play for here in Shanghai. And everybody knows it's all up in the air as to what could happen next. Anybody knows one mistake and it all changes. There's so much tension in the air. Away we go then. Nato into turn 1. We're unsteady just a little bit. Here comes Oliver Roland as he starts his lap time down towards the first corner. Nato's first sector time will be coming up. First sector here is after turn 4. So it's a 24.984 in that first sector. So slow compared to Formula 1 on the braking zone. It's quite unbelievable considering that we're level about with Formula 1 speeds. But, Roland's at 24.980, so he's 7,000ths of a second faster through that first section of turns. Sector 2 takes us from turn 4 down to turn 7. Have they stopped? Yeah, the computers have crashed. Look at that, the driver trackers and the computers have crashed up here in the commentary box, so that's not helpful. Second sector, I can't tell you because it hasn't come up myself. Yes, it has now. Nato 23.599, Roland 23.536, but the timing, the driver tracker has stopped, so Roland's ahead by 67,000ths of a second. Nato crosses the line, touches the grass, 113.824. We're up now, remember, from 300 to 350 kilowatts of power. Here comes Roland, it's a 113.756. Roland goes fastest overall and will progress to the semi-finals. Not a bad time there as well, as here comes Van Dorn out next.
Consistent Oliver Roland. He just finds, you know, a way to make it work for him. Comparing to Norman Nato, he was a 13.4, for example, in free practice 2, so a bit of a off practice time for him.
Well done, mate. Well done, well done. That's it. Well done, mate. Good job. Good job.
Fantastic lap then from Oliver Roland, sees him move forwards into the semi-finals. Now we go over to quarter-final 2. It is Mitch Evans versus Stoffel Van Dorn. 67% of you think it will go the way of the Monaco winner.
And that's because they've raced each other 4 times in the duels, and Evans has won 3 times. Van Dorn only has won once in that time as well. So is it about to be level playing field as Evans starts his dual lap? Down towards turn 1 they come then. It's a very heavy braking zone. Flick the car in as well. Let them regen power, but not in a qualifying session, just full throttle. So it's all about controlling the rear. Up to maximum power, though, as I said earlier, 350 kilowatts for the dual stages as well. The group is at 300, so this is why the lap times have come down to the 113s compared to the 114.0 we saw in Group A as the fastest time. Evans has got really messy coming out of the last part of the track into turn 6 and 7. The driver tracker is working again. Into turn 6 looking okay now as well. First sector is Evans on a 24.936. Oh, and Van Dorn is a 24.944. So it is fractions of a second at the moment as we see Evans improving. He's coming up second sector to 23.533. Van Dorn is approaching that zone now, and it's a 23.761. Evans into the last corner. He'll boot up towards the line. Oh, and Van Dorn's made a mistake somewhere. He's dropped 2.5 tenths back. Looks like it's going to be 4-1 then to Mitch Evans as he crosses the line to 1:13.565. Another fastest time on the board. Van Dorn has dropped 3 tenths back, I'm afraid. So I don't see this is going to be an improvement from him as he comes into the last corner. Boots it hard across the line. And Van Dorn finishes second, 3 tenths down, 1:13.861. Evans goes through to the next half of the duels.
Then, who will go head-to-head with Oliver Rowland in the semi-finals, James?
Yeah, I'm very surprised at the gap, really, in that one. I mean, Evans delivered a cracking lap. Really, hats off to him.
Yes, right foot. Well done.
And, you know, Mitch, he needs to make it count. His championship rival, you know, well, his teammate is not in this part of qualifying, and he's got a chance to take 3 points.
Yeah, let's see whether he can do that, though, because, of course, we've got 2 more sets of drivers to come in these quarterfinals, including these 2. Antonio Felix da Costa and Jean-Eric Vergne going head-to-head. Jean-Eric Vergne, 67% of you reckon that he in the DS Penske will be the man on form.
Used to be teammates, these two, so there's a little bit, you know, added to this duel we've got going on here. Mitch Evans really strong in that last quarter-final, actually faster than what he managed in FP2, so the track still is in a good window. Let's see how these two compared to what they were able to do earlier on in the day.
Well, the Dak attack goes down towards turn 1 there.
Yep, we're on the lap time now as well. So is my timer screen working? Yeah, there we go. So here we go then, coming into it. Da Costa versus Vergne in this half of the session. Maybe I should have written those names down as well. Da Costa out first. Vergne is in second position as they come through. First sector for Vergne faster, 24.730. Da Costa is a 24.981, so already 2.5 tenths of a second is down. Again, mighty lap time being found and improved upon, but I've got a feeling that this one is Jean-Eric's. Not going to be that for Antonio Felix da Costa. Da Costa looks like he's got no speed almost coming through the back half of the track. Sector 2 is a 23.491. Vergne is improving as well, 24.468, so 32 thousandths. Wow, Vergne's made a mistake. Vergne's lost 2 tenths of a second on the last run. Da Costa's a 1:13.693. So Da Costa made a mistake. Vergne's now made a mistake. And now the pair of them are just fighting to see who's can make it to the end of the line first. And Vergne goes through by 6 thousandths of a second. It's a 1:13.687. Wow. That's a very close call. So Vergne goes through, but they both made mistakes on that last lap time. Surprised at that. He had 2.5 tenths that first sector. Made a mistake in sector 2. And got through in sector 3. So just small errors out there on the circuit as they come into it. Next up is Verline Hughes.
So they might have to check the bottom of that to see whether he's picked up any damage.
Yeah, not ideal there for Vergne, but he does make it through. Quarter-final 4 then, Pascal Verline versus Jake Hughes. 36% of you reckon it's only going to be Hughes. The other lots reckon it'll go the way of this man here, Pascal Verline. And given his form so far this year, you'd be hard to bet against that.
Yeah.
Yep, as they start their lap time now. Oh, hello. Have I been on that all the time? I did press it for button 2, so yeah, that would have been funny. I pressed it for the button 3. Must not have worked. It's been... Oh, I pressed the num lock. First sector there for Verline. Coming into it, it's a 24.857. First mini sector, Hughes was only back by a little bit. Hughes now exits turn 3 and 4. It's a 24.864. 7 thousandths of a second separate them in the first sector. Absolutely nothing between them. Is Verline going to catch up and go through to the semi-finals? Try and catch up that the mammoth lead Cassidy has in the championship standings, or is it going to be Jake Hughes to bring it in? The gap is now thousandths of a second. Sector 2, Verline, 23.495. Hughes 23.535, 47 thousandths of a second now the difference. They are improving. They are changing. They are finding the grip wherever you like it. Vern, 113.449. Hughes is so close across the line. Last two corners. Booted out towards the line. And it is Hughes. 113. No! Verline, 113.449. 34 thousandths of a second the difference. Verline goes through. Hughes, who had a stellar last sector, wasn't enough for the time he lost in sectors 1 and 2. Verline goes through.
We through. Good job.
What a time.
Poor old Jake Hughes just unfortunately came up against Pascal Verline, who really found a sweet spot with that car for quarterfinals just there.
Exactly. Had Hughes gone and done that lap anywhere else with any other driver in that session, he'd have made it through into the semi-finals. But Verline's lap was phenomenal there, James. Sorry, beg your pardon.
Yeah, it was absolutely stunning lap from him. Put it all together. I think that's as quick as we've seen him all weekend. So looking strong for the 3 points and pole.
Let's have a look at an overhead replay here. This is just coming out of turn 4. I mentioned he had a bit of a snap of oversteer, slight bit of rear instability through there. We're heading down through the kink of turn 5 into the braking zone of turn 6. Did he run it a bit deep on the apex here, I wonder? Okay.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Is that not enough?
3 100s.
Hey, oh my God, we win. Oh my God, we win all the other jewels. What the hell? What the hell?
Well, he is going to be frustrated with that one. Angrier than a mosquito in a mannequin factory, I reckon. So, Jake Hughes sadly misses out on a spot in the semis as Pascal Verline progresses forwards then. Just the tight margins here at Shanghai. I mean, what are we looking at? 1 minute 13s over the course of that one. 34,000 separating Verline and Hughes at the end of that session. Let's have a look and see exactly how we got here, though, for the quarterfinals. So we had Nato and Roland. Roland progresses forwards. Evans and Van Dorn. Evan goes through. Then Da Costa versus Vern. Vern goes forwards into the second of the semi-finals. And then, of course, we just saw Verline versus Hughes. And Verline will be the driver who goes head-to-head with Jean-Eric Vern, of course, into the semis. 2 drivers from those will go into the finals as they aim to start on the front row of the grid.
So we are awaiting then the finals coming up. It's semi-final 1 and 2 next up as well. So it'll be Roland versus Evans and Vern versus Verline. There's always a little bit of a gap coming into it. I'm sat down in the commentary box chair now as well with a handheld microphone and a little bit laid back as well as we await the next session. There you can see the systems changing over as well if you're watching along with us. Driver tracker going to pop in a little bit. Yep, there he goes. So, yeah, Roland and Evans next up. You can probably hear my voice having a little bit of a croak. Might have some... we've got a couple of hours break, so I think everything is sorted for the rest of the day. Just taking a look at it. We have got a very busy schedule ahead of us here today. In fact, this weekend on JBMotorsports as well. So, coming up, 7:30 till 9:30. Well, we say that. It's 7:30 till 9 we're on air from as well, because if we can get a quick off, we will. Because we've got MotoGP to get to. So, at 7:30 British Summer Time, we've got Formula E, the Shanghai Prix number 1. At 9 on JB Motorsports 2, we've got the Catalan FP2 session. 9:15, we've got Touring Cars, first practice from Snetterton for the British Touring Car Championship. 9:40, we've got Formula 3, the Monaco Sprint Race with Jess and Omi up in the commentary box. 9:45, qualifying underway as well on JB Motorsports 2 for the MotoGP Catalan Grand Prix. 11:15, that is the Formula 1 third practice session for the Monaco Grand Prix. 12 o'clock, lunchtime, second practice for the British Touring Car Championship at Snetterton. 1:10, we've got Formula 2, the Monaco Sprint Race. 2 o'clock, we've got on JB Motorsports 2, the MotoGP Catalan Sprint Race. 2:45, Monaco F1 qualifying. And then at 3:30, we have the British Touring Car Championship as well for their touring car qualifying session. That's what's coming up today then here on JB Motorsports. A lot of action, a lot of change around as well. Not sure exactly who's going to be doing what, where, when and how. But it is going to be a fascinating run around. Tomorrow we start 12:55 a.m. Sunday. Don't go off here until 4 a.m. Monday. That's how much we've got a massive change around coming as well. Enough from me, though, for a couple of minutes. Let's hand over to the world feed and get all the updates from down there on the pit lane as well. So we'll hand back over as we prepare for the semi-finals. Roland v. Evans in semi-final 1, Vern Verline in semi-finals number 2.
So ready to go then for the semi-finals for round 11 here in Shanghai. Slightly cloudy overhead, very humid, about 25, 26 degrees air temperature. So it's hotting up here at the circuit. It'll be hotting up on the track as well. Let's get down to Radzi then. He's chatting with Stoffel van Dorn. Very unlucky to miss out on a spot in the semi-finals in the DS Penske.
Stoffel van Dorn, your 5th consecutive duels. What is it about you in this format? You do seem to love it. Possibly you'd like to run further, but just getting here is important.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've been on a good qualifying streak. Unfortunately, we didn't make it into the semi-finals. Just lacking a little bit on 350 power. Extremely hard out there with tire management, knowing the right window, where to put the trigger. And unfortunately, the lap in 350 wasn't good enough. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very dynamic race. We're probably going to start from a decent position, so yeah, we can race from there.
Race well today. Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
A very dynamic race. That's one way of putting it.
I think that's fairly accurate.
It is. Pascal Wehrlein here, just looking at his lap time. Nice and calm. Over the curbs there a little bit on the exit of turn 4. But he didn't look in trouble at any point in particular throughout the lap, even into turn 6, slightly deep if anything, but again, just kept it calm and didn't overdrive the car.
Yeah, he really seems like he's got a smooth driving style. We can watch the onboard here through 7 and 8. He's not really moving around that much, is he, with the steering there?
No.
Let's go down to Radzi, who's in the pit lane as we watch this onboard here with Pascal Wehrlein, and see who he's found ahead of the semi-finals.
Antonio Felix da Costa, you've done basically everything in this sport, but Jules, only your 2nd one of the season. It's a tough format.
I love it. I think this qualifying format is awesome. You know, and you need to be in your best shape to be rewarded. And yeah, we're getting better. It's a shame, yeah. Like we haven't been super fast over one lap. Getting better, as I said, but still not where I want to be. You know, been working hard with the team to get the car balance to what I need for my driving style, and we're getting close. So yeah, steps forwards, and we know the race anyway this afternoon. The starting position isn't critical. There'll be a lot of energy savings, so but nonetheless, yeah, good to be. I think we're starting 6th, so all good.
You were first across the line in Misano, first across the line in Berlin, all from P10 and P13, so kind of, it doesn't matter that much.
It's maybe it's going to make it easier now, or more difficult, I don't know. We'll see.
We're looking forward to seeing it.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
So, semi-finals about to get underway. Here is how we got here for round 11 for the Shanghai E-Prix. We've got Oliver Rowland versus Mitch Evans coming up first of all, then Jean-Eric Vergne versus Pascal Wehrlein. Only 2 drivers will go forwards from those into the finals, and we'll see who is going to line up on the front row of the grid for the E-Prix here this afternoon. Will it be Nissan, Jaguar, DS or Porsche? Well, the drivers then at the exit of pit lane, ready for the green light to come on. Oliver Rowland versus Mitch Evans up first, Nissan versus Jaguar, and the general consensus among the audience at home reckon that it's going to be Mitch Evans.
Yeah, interesting that. I mean, Oliver Rowland compared to Mitch Evans in the quarterfinals was a couple of tempos slower. So he, you know, obviously that's reset, 1 lap dash. Let's see what we can do.
By the way, the steering is a bit to the left as well. It was like that in F2, but I forgot to tell you.
Not the most useful bit of information before your qualifying run.
Steering's a bit to the left, but it hasn't helped. It hasn't hindered him so far, I should say.
Maybe you should stick with it.
Team.
Driving like a NASCAR on the straight or something like that. Well, there we go. forgot to tell you. I like that. What else has he forgotten to say?
Yeah, did they tighten the wheels up? Is he got 3 wheels? Has he forgot to tell him that too?
By the way, I forgot to tell you, you're paying the bill for dinner tonight. Semi-final one about to get underway. Rowland versus Evans then. Evans now out onto the circuit. A good opportunity here for him to try and take those points away from Pascal Wehrlein. He needs to try and play the team game at this point in the season to try and stop the Porsche driver's challenge and to stop him closing in on Nick Cassidy's lead.
Is it the team game though? Because I feel like Mitch Evans, he's still got a shot. So for him, I think, you know, obviously he will be thinking about the team and the championship for the constructors, but equally, if he got the 3 points, you know, he'd put himself still in touching distance.
Well, he's 43 points behind his teammate in the championship, so there's a good opportunity. He can still mathematically be in with a shout of leading the championship at the end of this weekend, but it's going to be a tall order.
Oh, yeah, and he'll have quite a lot of change around, but that's how it goes sometimes in motorsport. Semi-final number 1 gets underway then here for the Shanghai E-Prix. Rowland v Evans, and Rowland crosses the line then, heads downhill towards turn number 1. We're hoping if Evans is on board as well to get a good side-by-side as they turn in. Rowland takes a nice entry as well in the corner, just gets it tight. Virtual advertising board showing and covering up how little fans are actually here in Shanghai. Can't dismiss it too much, even try and change angles. There's not that many here. First set time for Rowland is a 24.792. Evans coming through now as well. Is he going to find anything different? 24.906. He's 87. Well, yeah, about 87 thousandths down in that first sector. Rowland sector 2 is a 23.462. Evans just coming through, taking little by little, 23.318. He's up by 30 thousandths. So this is a real to and fro between the two of them now as they try and come into it. A real sort of game being played out. Cross the line, Rowland does a 1:13.358. Here comes Evans, 88 thousandths. Rowland v Evans, the two battling out for better positions in the Drivers' Championship as well. What's it going to be as they come across the line? It's getting awfully close between them across it. It's 1,000th of a second. Wow! Rowland gets it on a 1:13. Wow! Rowland goes through to the final by 1,000th of a second. Oh, fantastic. That is fantastic. 1,000th of a second, and Rowland goes through. They matched each other throughout the entire lap, and it is 1,000th of a second for Ollie Rowland. Vern versus Wehrlein. Next up, who's going to have the advantage here, and who will have, in many respects, the disadvantage? As I just try and sort out the blog, as it's having a bit of a paddy on me. There we go. So, here we go again then. Vern and Wehrlein closing up between them in towards turn number 1. Vern keeps it wide, tightens up into 2. He's got Formula 1 experience here, of course, in this first sector. So does Pascal Wehrlein. In fact, Wehrlein hit the wall down there in qualifying a couple of times. But these two have F1 experience here in Shanghai. Rowland and Evans didn't. So who's got the F1 knowledge of setup and how to deal with this Shanghai International Circuit? First sector for Vern, 24.899. It's another close one, everyone. 24.875 for Wehrlein in that first sector. So Wehrlein was quicker by a little bit. Second sector for Vern is a 23.539. Wehrlein 23.470. 93,000 between them. So it looks like we really do have a battle between the two as Vern takes a little bit, cuts the corner. Coming through turn 10. Vern 1:13.471. Wehrlein is going to have the pace. Just got to keep it calm. 66,000 between them at the moment as they come up towards it. And Vern's got it. Verline lost out by a 10.5. Jean-Eric Verne progresses to the final alongside Ollie Rowland. So Verne goes through. Verline couldn't do a thing. That's a surprise. Here's the radio and the world feed.
Okay, we through. Oh, wow. Yeah, Verline did a mistake in the last sector.
Oh.
I'm loving the surprise on Verline's on Verne's voice there.
Yeah, I mean, the first couple of sectors he was down a little bit, so I don't think, potentially James touched on it, the start of the lap was quite what, Jean-Eric Verne was hoping for, but the last sector, you can see here from the onboard shots or the outer shots that he's just using every part of the circuit in the final sector. We found just over 2 tenths of Pascal Verline, and that was the difference.
And the last sector was very impressive. He got that line perfect through the penultimate corner. But we just saw how much curb he took. And the car looked like it accepted it, so that'll give him some confidence going into the final.
It's impressive the rear stability that we saw on both those drivers' cars going through the long sweeping corners. The rear end just looked absolutely planted on both of them going through. They weren't soaring away at the wheel or anything.
I mean, honestly, don't really ask me a question about little details like this because car is all over the place everywhere, so...
Okay, well, he knows better than I do, as it turns out.
I think it's more the point that, just don't touch anything, leave it up to me, I'll deliver in the final.
This man here, Phil Charles, kind of hard to understate the impact that he's made on that team. Signed over from Jaguar, and now they're starting to reap those rewards.
Yeah, definitely in qualifying trim, I feel like they've been there or thereabouts all year, DS Penske, but they just haven't quite in the race got the efficiency of some of the other bigger powertrainers, Porsche, Jaguar. They seem to, find an edge on them in that department.
Let's not forget, Jean-Eric was second in the first race in Berlin. He does have a tendency to do incredibly well at new circuits. That's one thing, having worked with him for many years. You go to a new circuit and he's always there delivering.
You did call that.
He's pretty handy here in China as well. He won the most recent race when we were here in Sanya in 2019.
Yeah, dive-bombed Oliver Rowland, of course, for the win. And look where they are in the final.
How the tables turn. So here's how we got to the finals, and this is the lineup then that we will have for round 11. So in the quarters we saw Rowland and Evans going through, Verne and Verline as well. In the semis, Rowland progresses forward from semi-final 1 into the finals, and then Jean-Eric Verne also making the cut for DS Penske. So which of those 3 drivers will be taking pole position, and which of them, of course, will be taking those all-important 3 points here ahead of the E3 this afternoon.
And there's the ad break I was expecting to come into it as well. That's always seeming to be the problem half these days as well. Everyone just having a little bit of give and take and see what we're going to have for later on as well. Fingers crossed it's going to be an interesting final when we eventually get to it. And then as soon as that's done, I'm going to go in the bath as well and get ready for the rest of the day. Not going to be a fun one, I can tell you that right now. So much to do today, so I hope you stay with us here on JB Motorsports as we gear up. Just checking on Twitter and everything as well. My voice is really actually going as well. Also, did not get much sleep. I think I was asleep 8 till 11:15. So what's that? 9, 10. No, not even that. 9. So 2.5 hours, something like that. Not a lot. And I'm going to sleep until 4 o'clock this afternoon, 4 p.m. So 12 hours time is when I'll get to go to sleep again. And then 26 hours. Oh, it's going to be mad. It's going to be a mad one Sunday. I can tell you that right now. If anybody is watching and doesn't know what we do here, motorsport watch-alongs for some of the greatest series on the planet. But boy, this weekend is it testing us. Do you want me to read you out what we got Sunday? Sunday, 12:55 a.m. This is all British summer time, remember. Sunday, 12:55 a.m. Formula E Shanghai Practice 3. 3:10 a.m. Formula E Shanghai Qualifying. 6:55 Formula E Monaco Feature Race. 7:30 Formula E Shanghai Race 2. 8:40 MotoGP Catalan Warm-Up. 8:40 F2 Monaco Feature. 10 a.m. 10:55 Porsche Super Cup. 11:15 British Touring Cars, Snetterton, race 1. 12:55, Monaco Grand Prix, MotoGP Catalan Grand Prix. 1 o'clock as well, Monaco Grand Prix. 2:10, British Touring Cars, Snetterton, race 2. 4 o'clock, Indy 500. 5:20, British Touring Cars, race 3. And then, yeah, there's a gap, but Indy 500 goes till 9 p.m, remember? So after that, it then goes 11 o'clock to 4 a.m, NASCAR Coca-Cola 600. There's rain delays expected. There's red flags expected. It's going to be a long day as we do the double. Right, we've got a little bit of a break there before the final here to decide who starts on pole position for the first Shanghai Prix. Let's send it back to Tom Brooks and Nikki Shields on the world feed out there today for the rest of this one.
So then, time for the finals to begin for round 11 here in Shanghai. Jean-Eric Verne versus Oliver Rowland, 2 drivers going head-to-head to see which of them will be qualifying on pole position and, of course, taking those all-important 3 points into the E-Prix here this afternoon. Don't forget about the Formula E Predictor app on the top left-hand corner of your screen. Tell us which of those 2 drivers you think will be going through. Let's go down to Radzi as we get ready to get the finals underway, catching up with our semi-finalists.
Mitch Evans, there are fine margins, and then there's what you just had then, 1/1000th of a second. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, honestly, the lap was strong. I had a moment in the last corner when I turned in, I lost a rear, and that's probably where I lost it. So, yeah, I mean, it's always fine margins, especially around here. For some reason, the times are super close. But yeah, didn't get it done. But so I think P3 or P4 is still a decent starting position. So I think this race is probably not going to matter where you kind of start. So yeah, but it would have been nice to have a crack at the 3 points for pole.
We can't wait to see it, mate. Good luck today.
Cool, thanks.
Pascal Wehrlein, more poles than any driver this season. You've made the duels all bar 1 race. What is your secret?
I don't know.
Whatever you're doing, it works.
Yeah, I think we improved a lot in qualifying this season. It's a shame that qualifying this year doesn't really count and doesn't really matter for the races we have, but still it's good for confidence if you're up there in 1 lap pace.
And huge for this race this weekend, given where you are in the championship.
Yeah, but like I said, in the race, actually, it doesn't really matter. With the races we have currently, with the peloton races, you could start last and still finish first.
Which kind of makes it exciting. We can't wait to see you race later.
Thank you.
Wehrlein then didn't progress forwards from the semi-finals, but we'll have a look and see exactly how we got here ahead of the finals then. So you can see in the semis, Rowland versus Evans. Rowland goes through, Verne versus Wehrlein, and Verne was the driver who managed to get the better on that occasion. So DS Penske versus Nissan, Jean-Eric Verne versus Rowland, Frenchman versus Britain, and those 2, incidentally, were the top 2 who finished 1 and 2 here in China in 2019. So then, over to the finals, Jean-Eric Verne versus Oliver Rowland then. Looking forward to seeing what is going to happen here for this one. Wehrlein chasing his 4th pole position of the season. Oliver Rowland chasing his 3rd pole position of 2024. And 64% of you reckon that Oliver Rowland has got this one in the bag.
Yeah, that's interesting though. Obviously, he was slightly faster in the semi-finals, Oliver Rowland, than Jean-Eric Verne, but it does feel like that DS Penske is quick.
I think that Jev will learn from the small mistake we saw him make in turn 1 in the semis. I reckon he's got everything he needs to put this on pole and take the 3 points.
So then, drivers out on the track, getting heat into the tyres and the brakes. This is what it all comes down to then. 3 kilometres of this Shanghai International Circuit, 1 flying lap, 2 drivers, and of course only 1 opportunity to take pole position for the E-Prix here this afternoon. Oliver Rowland versus Jean-Eric Verne. Which of them is going to emerge on top? Well, you can see here Jean-Eric Verne getting heat into the tyres and the brakes as we head down in towards turn 6.
Yeah, it was interesting looking at how Jeff was trying to get front temperature as we went through the first couple of corners as he came out the pits. He was over-slipping the front tyres quite aggressively, just basically applying a lot of steering in order to just generate a little bit of surface temperature.
And that's going to be very key coming into this next session as well. They've got to be really close and really on it to make sure everything goes okay. But here we go then. One final lap. Who will take pole for the first Shanghai E-Prix in 2024? Full of double headers now, as we're in the second half of the season. The final is underway. Vern versus Roland, and Vern starts his lap times down towards turn number 1 here at the Shanghai International Circuit. Flicks the rear of the car in. It's unsteady a little bit, but a double apex entry, and he's sliding that rear. He's a bit slower than what he was on his previous run. 24.668 is that first sector. I wonder if Roland's going to be anywhere close to him in that first delta time. 24.811, so 10.5 down for Roland. They're still going to be 1-2 on the grid, and it's an even Stevens run down to the first corner. Everyone watching on now with interest. Vern's second sector is a 23.558. Roland is catching him up as he exits turn 6. Rounds turn 7. Into 8, and it's a 23.503. Roland is ahead. Really going to be a close one, this, as Vern touches over the gravel and grass into the last corner, puts it hard up to the water line. Vern, 1:13.322. All eyes to Roland, who's right behind him. What's the gap going to be? Who's on pole for the Shanghai E-Prix in 2024? Roland's at 1:13.360. Jean-Eric Vern has pole position. Vern back on pole here in Shanghai with an absolutely storming lap, and it's 38,000 at the front of the field as well.
DS Penske, it is Jean-Eric Vern who's on top.
There you go, boy. You're the pole man today.
3 points in the bag for Jean-Eric Vern here in Shanghai in China, a country where he has performed very, very well in the past. Finished 1 and 2 with Oliver Rowland back in 2019, and now he is number 1 in qualifying in Shanghai as well. Nice tidy lap there for him.
Yeah, that was a really tidy lap. He started the lap well, which I think, you know, for a driver that made a mistake in the semi-final in the first part of the lap, probably gave him some confidence, James, going into the second and third sectors, knowing that he'd found a bit of lap time there.
Yeah, he definitely looked like he learned from that small mistake that we saw in the semi, and he just delivered the perfect first sector.
They did it because you asked me to.
I should ask you more often. In mud and straight back to box, make sure you keep following your margin and you follow instruction on pitting. That's 3 good points. Let's make the most out of it. Good job. Mega job.
They did it because you asked me to.
I should ask you more often.
Well, we heard Jake Hughes in qualifying and his race engineer saying, can you go out, can you just find this sort of time in the lap? And we've heard Jean-Eric Vern's race engineer doing the same. If only it was that simple, eh?
Yeah, Thibaut and Jeff have a great relationship there, and it's really nice to see them, you know, well, Thibaut asking Jeff for pole, and Jeff actually delivering this time.
Well, we discussed it before we went on air, James, and you reckoned that it was going to be Vern's pole position, and so you've proven to be right.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll take that one. No, I mean, I've worked many years with Jeff, and he's exceptionally good when you go to new circuits. He prepares perfectly. He puts in all the effort with the team, with the engineers, and he's very, very good at delivering in difficult conditions. And he learns quickly, you know. He makes a mistake, but he make it once.
It's interesting the swing in that lap, though, because the first sector went the way of Vern, but Roland was quicker in the second and the third sector. So, but for that mistake that Roland made in sector 1, where he lost a couple of tenths of a second, arguably it could have gone the way of the boy from Barnsley.
Yeah, he was closing back up in the second and third sector, but just left too much margin in the first sector, too much of a deficit to overturn, so just missed out. He was actually a couple thousandths slower than what he did in the semi-finals too, so I think that suggests that that sector 1 wasn't quite where he needed it to be.
Well, Jean-Eric Vern equals Sebastian Buemi's all-time pole record of 16 in his Formula E career as well now, so that's a fantastic job from the Frenchman. From the former champion as well, double champion of course in Formula E, the only drivers who have won it in Gen 1 and in Gen 2. Gen 3 has eluded him so far, but given the form that he's shown as of late, there's an opportunity here possibly for season 11 potentially.
Okay. It's a shame really, for 400. Anyway, good lap time. Good lap time.
Well done, Jeff. was a good master and a good lap.
Front row of the grid nonetheless there for Oliver Rowland. I think he'll be, well, you heard his disappointment there, but, you know, given where he could have been compared to, say, his teammate, for example, that's still not a bad place to be. And he's crucially out of, in theory, all of the chaos that will unfold in the mid-pack.
Yeah, Sasha, obviously, you know, I believe was bottom of Group A. So, you know, in terms of, you know, comparison where Oliver's ended up, you know, being on the front row, I think he can be fairly happy with the job he's done.
Absolutely, and you can join us for all the action 7:30 a.m. British Summer Time in about 2 hours 45 minutes. I'm off for a quick nap. I'll see you then. Take care. Bye bye.